Alright, so I just watched the UFC 307, 306, no, 307, whatever, in Australia. I think it was in Sydney or Perth, whatever. And I just watched uh, Dricus Duplessis winning against Israel Adesanya. I watched the fights again between Kai France and Steve Erceg, and I also watched, what was the other one? Whatever, dude. I'm here to talk about the Brazilian guys, right? Oh, it was Taito Iwaza and Dan Hooker fight. Dan Hooker against Matheus Gamrot. Maybe Dan Hooker is gonna fight Charles Oliveira next. I'm excited for that. I look forward to watching that fight. But I'm here to talk about the nightmare, right? Carlos Prates. He's Brazilian. I think by now you guys know that, right? He's really good, man. I mean, he's solid. A lot of people here in Brazil is talking about him, like they're comparing him to Anderson Silva in the gold days, you know. And I think it's fair to compare him with Anderson Silva because, like, you can see the way he fights, you know. It's similar, like, not the technique, but I would say like the calmness, right? He's calm. The way he flows while he's fighting, you know, it's really good. I would say that it's even better than Anderson because I think Anderson was just precise with the shots, but he didn't have that power in his hands, you know, like some Alex Pereira of the world. But Carlos Prates, the nightmare, he's precise and he also got power in his hands. Okay, so he was the first person ever to knock Liu Jigliang down. Actually, to knock him out. He knocked him out, right? It was so perfect to watch that, like a flawless performance. You know, he was calm and then like knocked down, and then he didn't go for it right away because you know that like Liu Jigliang is a really tough fighter. He's dangerous. He's a really solid striker. A lot of people that had to fight with him, they had to go to the other way, like, oh, let's do some grappling, whatever. Like Hamza Chimaev, for example, he didn't even try to trade punches with the Chinese guy, right? But Carlos Prates, bro, he's precise and he's got power, man. He's like Alex Pereira and Anderson Silva combined, and then Carlos Prates, right? A lot of people talk, at least here in Brazil, a lot of people talk about him smoking, right? I don't really care about that, like whatever, dude. A lot of fighters actually do that, but they don't tell us. Carlos Prates is just like transparent. I don't know if that's the right word in English, but like he doesn't care, you know. He's gonna tell you that he smokes, whatever, dude. Like he's winning the fights, 3 straight fights, 3 knockouts, 3 bonuses, 3 wins, like really close to each other, and he's willing to fight in the end of the year, right, against Chaos Williams. Perfect fight. I know he's not, like, I know that Chaos is he isn't ranked right now, but it's a really good fight for him to end the year with this perfect background, like to next year, you know, like with this perfect run, and then he has like a top 15 fighter if he wins the fight against Chaos Williams, right? And he's just awesome, man. He speaks English. That's really good for a Brazilian fighter. I know that a lot of guys from the UFC, like the company, doesn't like a lot of Brazilians, especially because of the fact that they're the people who fight good, but they don't speak English. Like, for example, really good names like Charles Oliveira, Alex Pereira, Diego Lopez is now speaking a little bit. But Carlos Prates, he's well-rounded. He sells, I think he's gonna be a fight seller because people are gonna want to watch him fight because of the way he fights, the performances. He's a really good striker, and also he's a black belt BJJ. I mean, people are gonna think like, oh, he's fighting people but he's knocking them out because they just want to trade punches with him, you know, they want to strike. But the first grappler that he faces is gonna end the hype. It's not gonna end the hype, bro, because he's really good, you know, like in jiu-jitsu too. I mean, black belt, he can defend takedowns. You guys are gonna see. I think he's gonna be champion someday for sure. Like the charisma, I think the UFC different than they do with other fighters or other Brazilian fighters who don't speak English, who's like a little hard to fight sometimes. You know, like Charles Oliveira has fought just once in 2024. We're getting to September and he doesn't have any other fight booked, right? And Carlos Prates, 3 fights in a row, right? It's gonna be his 4th fight in December if everything goes right. And he's awesome, man. This dude is fucking awesome. All right, don't sleep on him. I think he's gonna be a world champion and the first Brazilian world champion at this division, at this weight class, right? The 170. So I'm really happy to see his other fights. I think it's gonna be fireworks. But the other thing that I want to talk about is he's from Fighting Nerds. I mean, he doesn't train there every day like the other people who train there, the other fighters. But he's from Fighting Nerds. I think he trains there like twice a week because he doesn't live in São Paulo, and Fighting Nerds is in São Paulo. He lives, if I'm not mistaken, in Taubaté. It's a Brazilian city, whatever. And Fighting Nerds, right now, I think I can say that is easily one of the best, if not the best, MMA fighting gym that we have right now in the UFC roster. I mean, talking about like, you have like a lot of really good gyms like AKA, American Top Team, you know, we have a lot of them. But like Fighting Nerds, they have, for all the fighters, you might think like, oh, it's just because the fighters there are good. I mean, they're good for sure, but like they have a really solid game plan in every fight they're gonna fight. You know, it's really solid, man. It's pretty good. Let me just check this. Okay, it's still recording. It's because my cell phone has no battery right now. I think it's gonna die in like 2 to 3 minutes, whatever. Fighting Nerds, they have a really solid game plan. Every fight, I just watched the last fight of Bruna Brasil against Mandy McCain, I think is her name. Bro, really solid game plan. You have like really good fighters who listen to the coach, Pablo Sucupira. He does an amazing job. And now, next week, we're gonna have Caio Borralho against Jared Cannonier, you know, for a main event of a fight night. And finally, Caio Borralho is getting his flowers in the UFC, right? Because different than Carlos Prates, Caio Borralho had a really difficult, I mean not difficult, but like a really tough run through the middleweight division before getting to the rankings, you know. Caio Borralho, he's 16-1. He's a really well-rounded guy. He can strike, he can grapple. He's a really good fighter. But the UFC for some reason just didn't give him like the good way, because he speaks English, you know, and still he just fought nobody's like good fighters, but fighters that people don't care about, you know. Like he fought, I remember like he fighting Michał Leksichuk. It was his first finish in the UFC, because like before that I think he had like 4 or 5 fights without finishing or TKOing or KOing someone. And then it was his first submission against Michał Leksichuk, and then he fought against Abuz Magomedov. And I was like, dude, and before Michał Leksichuk, like the past fights before that was already like tough guys, but guys that people don't care about, guys that didn't give him too much credit for fighting with. I don't know, bro, it was just harder for me to like accept his run in the UFC, because I really like him, especially because of the fact that he speaks English, but also because of the fact that like he's really good, you know. And now finally he's gonna fight a top 5 fighter from the middleweight division, you know. He fought Paul Craig here in Brazil, UFC Rio. It was 3-1 after the UFC, the emblematic UFC 300, and he knocked out Paul Craig, right? Yeah, it was Paul Craig. It was a really solid performance. I was like, bro, if the UFC doesn't give him someone that brings attention to the fight, if the UFC doesn't give him doesn't give him his flowers, what's gonna happen with him? Like, is the same thing is happening with Michel Pereira, like Michel Pereira? I don't know how you call it, but I call it Michel Pereira. I don't know why the UFC does that with him, because Michel Pereira is another really good fighter, like a crazy fighter, good fights, good performances, and now he's gonna fight like what? I forgot the name of the guy, but like a guy that is really tough but doesn't sell fights, you know. Brazilian fighters deserve better. Come on, dude. I know that Alex Pereira had like an easy run when he was a middleweight, but that's because of his rivalry against Israel Adesanya. Okay, but finally he's gonna fight. Kyle Borralho is gonna fight George Cannonier. I'm looking forward to watch that fight because I think Kyle Borralho is gonna win, and then he's gonna become like he's top 12 right now, and he's gonna be top 5, and we're gonna have Sean Strickland. I mean, Sean Strickland is gonna fight for the title now against Dricus Duplessis, and then we have Hamza Chimaev against Robert Whittaker, right, coming out in October, right, in Abu Dhabi, right, yeah. And then Kai Borralho, after winning a fight against a guy like George Cannonier, I don't know if he's gonna win, but I believe so. If he wins this fight, I think he's gonna fight against maybe the loser of Chimaev Whittaker, because the winner is gonna fight for the belt after Sean Strickland, or maybe he's gonna fight like Imavov, Brennan Allen, because they're gonna fight again. Actually, they're gonna fight as well, not again. I don't know, bro. I just feel something good for these fighters from Pablo Sucupira, right? Fighting nerds, they're really good, right? We have Mauricio Ruffi, another legend, a future legend. Right now is just another really good fighter, but I think he's gonna be a legend because of the way he sees things while he's fighting, you know, just like Carlos Prates. And I think it's a really good time for us Brazilians to watch UFC, you know, like here in Brazil, a lot of people miss the old days with Anderson Silva, Mauricio Shogun Rua, you know, Belfort, Verdun, you know, those legends, Brazilian, like Jose Aldo, who's gonna fight Mauro Bautista right now in the card that Alex Pereira is gonna defend his title against Khalil Roundtree, whatever. I'm talking about a lot of different things, right? But yeah, that's it. Carlos Prates is a real deal. He's the nightmare. He's someone that's gonna stick around for a while. He's gonna be a champion, man. And also Kyle Borralho. I believe in those two from Fighting Nerds. Everyone from Fighting Nerds. Maybe Thiago Moises is not that really good right now, but he's a really good fighter too. That's it, man. Another video that nobody's ever gonna watch of me speaking English about the UFC and about the Brazilian fighters, whatever. Next video I'm gonna be talking about Diego Lopes fighting against Brian Ortega, because he didn't fight against him last fight. I mean, they were booked to fight, you know, the stuff that happened, whatever. So yeah, that's it.